A lot of improvisation today, but I'm Nick Ainis from Toronto, Ontario, and I'm here. I'm God's gift to Toronto Mike. What can I say?
What up, Mike?
You said it all.
Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1817 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by retrofestive.ca, Canada's pop culture and Christmas store. Save 10% with the promo code FOTM for a limited time. Great Lakes Brewery. Order online at greatlakesbeer.com. See, I changed the script, Nick. For free, local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Visit palmapasta.com for more. Fusion Corp's own Nick Ainis. He's the host of Building Toronto Skyline and Building Success, two podcasts you ought to listen to. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making his return to Toronto Mic'd, it's Nick Ainis. How you doing, Nick?
Nice sound effects.
You know, it's like the guy in Police Academy. I do my own sound effects here. How are you?
Did you like my intro or what?
Yeah, at first you said it's time to improvise, and then it looked like you were struggling to improvise. I thought it was ironic. I wasn't sure where you were going to go.
Certainly was.
And you didn't say the F word, Fusion Corp. I thought you would throw that in your cold open.
Okay, well.
Next time.
You didn't prepare me.
Well, that's called improvisation. Okay.
So
Hey,
I improvised.
So we're going to cover a lot of ground. I just want to say welcome back, Nick. It's your second full episode of Toronto Mic'd. Is that correct?
Can I see the video?
Why? This is not.
I have to see it.
What? I'm not gonna. I got notes. You don't
Okay,
need to see.
leave
Look,
it. You got
look
notes.
great.
You got
Do you see
notes.
yourself?
Okay, I guess so. I'm smiling. Right?
You're obsessed with video here. What's wrong with you, young people, and your video, your pivots?
Yeah.
I want to ask you a couple of things here.
Sure.
One is, last night, my boy had soccer practice at 8 p.m. That's pretty late, right? But he's 11 years old. So we biked to the LCI Dome, and he went in practice. But then I biked to pick him up at 9 p.m. Okay, so we arrive home here at like 9:20 p.m. You with me?
Yeah.
So 9:20
I don't see
p.m.
anything wrong yet.
I'm putting the bikes into the shed. He's inside.
You got a constant.
No, well, and then I'm just, it's dark because it's, dark at 9:30, whatever. I'm putting the bikes in the shed, and I can see in the corner of my left eye, I see like low to the ground.
Building Toronto Skyline.
I saw this little black furry thing with a white tail.
A skunk.
Yeah, came from the side of the shed, and it's scurrying beside me. Nick, I can tell you.
Did you pet it?
I'll tell you what I did. I knew right away that's a skunk. We have skunks around here, you know that. And I bolted out of that backyard. Like I sprinted like I was Donovan Bailey. Okay?
You smell funny today, actually.
Well, it's not me. It's there is a smell outside, but I didn't get sprayed. But I ran, and the shed door is open, and I'm inside now, and I'm talking to the kids about, hey, look out the window. There's a skunk, because he kind of got comfortable right in front of the door to the shed, and I needed to get back out there to close the shed door, and I didn't want to get sprayed by a skunk. So I'm watching this thing for the next couple of hours. Okay, you with me? But it's sort of like staying put. I can see it kind of like it's digging for grubs or something, but it ain't moving around, so it's stuck there. And eventually, I gave up. I just went to sleep with the shed doors open, and I figured, okay, in the morning when I get the bikes, because Morgan and I bike to school, that skunk will be long gone. That's like, they're nocturnal. You know this. You're practically a zoologist. Anyway, so now this morning, it's about, 7:45 or something. I'm going to go outside to get the bikes, and I see he has moved away from the door. He's a little bit closer to the gate I enter, but he's still there. The same skunk is sort of really comfortable, like digging in. The same skunk, barely moving.
Right.
but I got to get the bikes from the shed, and I don't want to get sprayed by a skunk. This is this morning, okay? So I'm like making noises. I'm making a big racket. I'm banging. I'm like, go to bed. I'm screaming at it. I got some snowballs, not to hit the skunk, but to like throw it in the skunk's direction. Maybe
Otherwise, I'll call Toronto Animal Services.
Well, we're almost there. So this guy's barely moving though, and I realize, okay, I can run past. I Googled how far can a skunk spray, and it's like, okay, you can do 15 feet. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run by. See, I said the G word, and my phone became alive here. I run by this thing to the shed door. I do everything so fast, and this skunk doesn't spray me. Barely moving at this point. This skunk to me looks like it's there to die. It's just, so I go and I bike my daughter to school. I do a little extra 5K. Now I'm coming home and I'm checking out my friend the skunk here, my new pet almost. Barely moving, but not dead. Like there's a little movement. It's still there. What do we do about this skunk? I can show you after our recording. That skunk is just still
just
there.
call Animal Services. That's it.
So just call Animal Services and say, I have a dying skunk in my
I
backyard.
have a skunk and it doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good. Okay. All right. You know what?
There's the advice. You took up my time for a skunk story.
Well, we're going to get to you. Listen, I wanted,
You know,
this is
I'm
fresh news.
temperamental. You know that, right?
Well, I biked to your lovely Brampton home very recently. What kind of wildlife do you get up there beyond the boring old squirrels?
Well, let me just tell you, my wife feeds all kinds of animals in our backyard. So I get skunks, raccoons. We recently had like 5 cats migrate. So she bought them little tiny electric heated houses for them to sleep in. And now we're feeding 9 cats every day.
How many of those 9 cats are allowed in the home?
Well, she's starting to migrate them in the home, which is, I don't know, I'm losing my mind.
But you love your wife.
I love my wife, so I just support her. That's all.
Look, I'm okay with this taking in the stray cold cats thing, but I don't think you're supposed to feed the wildlife. I know you're not supposed to be doing that.
Well, we're not saying, I'm pretending it's not true, but it's true. And she's feeding squirrels, she's feeding birds, she's feeding possums, she's feeding skunks and raccoons.
Wow. See,
exciting
you never know
stuff.
where we would not have reached this point in the conversation if I didn't tell you my skunk story.
Thank God we are. Yes.
So I met your wife.
Yeah.
Beautiful woman. You're a lucky man.
Oh yeah.
You had a great home. It was
yeah.
a great bike ride to Brampton. Do you think Brampton gets a bad rap? Like, what do you think about the reputation of Brampton?
Well, it's got a terrible rap. If you're from Toronto and you think about Brampton, you just like roll your eyes maybe. They call it Bramlagesh or whatever it is.
Sounds racist to me.
It is. There are a lot of non-whites in Brampton, and nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that I'm not a racist guy, but there's a lot of Indian people. There's all sorts of cultures up in Brampton, but primarily there's a lot of Indian people, and I think people, for some reason, don't care for that, and they don't get to see actually how great a little city it is. And it's not a little city anymore. It's a big city.
I think you're hitting it.
But it's we're right backing off on a nature trail, which is really exciting, really nice. We've got a lot of amenities nearby. And the thing I like about it is right near the highway. So as a business person, I can drive anywhere, anytime. I'm near the 407. So it's quite exciting for me.
My experience biking to you was, well, how lovely the neighborhood is and how great the trails were. Like, I do think this reputation, which I believe to be rooted in racism, as if you have you're right, there's a lot of new Canadians that make their home in Brampton, and to suggest that somehow a negative to me is inherently racist. Yeah,
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I don't really pay too much attention to it. You make, I'm not much of I'm so busy, I don't really have time to talk to anyone anyways, but
that's why I'm honored you made the time to visit me today.
At the end of the day, we support everybody. I mean, that's our country, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
no, but that includes the whites too. Like, we can't just say, oh, we're white, so, you guys are bad. So we can't think that way either.
No, I mean, what I love about Canada, and you mentioned there's a lot of people of color in Brampton. Well, there's a lot of people of color in Toronto. I think half the city is.
The whole thing is you have your original ways of immigration. That's what you have. You have Italians, you have Greeks. They came in the 1950s. You have, and I'm of a Greek origin. Obviously, my great grandfather came here in the early 1920s, and you just have all these nations and cultures coming to Canada. That's the way it goes. Take it easy. And you know what? I guess the British have been here and they won the war with General Montcalm in the Battle of Quebec. They won. These things happen. Move on.
I'm glad you brought up your ancestors, okay? Because I was actually going to go there next. So just last weekend, what is today? Today is December 12th. So last Saturday, I was the Grand Marshal for the Etobicoke Lakeshore Santa Claus Parade.
Exciting. Yeah, I saw your picture in the on Facebook.
I thought you said on CNN, but no, it was on Facebook. Right, okay.
Was it on CNN?
I don't know. I don't get CNN.
I don't think they're going to...
Keep your eyes peeled. But it was an honor. And it was great. You walk from 1st to 35th. But I'm hoping you'll share with us a story about your family's history and how it relates to the Lakeshore, the proper title of this is the Etobicoke Lakeshore Santa Claus Parade.
Okay, well, that's a good story. So my great-grandfather, there was a Balkan War in around the early 1900s, and Greece, and there was a portion of northern Greece that was annexed by Greece. It was part of, I think, Bulgaria at the time, and you had a mixture of cultures there. But our family was, my great-grandfather, he was, technically Macedonian, and, the Macedonian language is different from Greek. It's more of like a Slavic language. And so they were not generally looked, they weren't very accepted by the Greeks. You weren't allowed to speak Macedonian. You weren't allowed to dress like a Macedonian. So you had to speak Greek, and you had to sort of blend in with the Greeks. So under that sort of environment, and even my grandmother, her brother was killed by Greek soldiers, and partisans and this and that, and so my great grandfather left Greece, and he came into Canada in the early 1920s or 1900s, I would say.
Okay,
maybe even sooner. So I hear he went back to the 1895. He started off in I think Port Credit, or maybe he worked on the roads too at the beginning. These are the stories I heard. I don't know what's true. But I do know that he was naturalized in the 1920s. I still have the document. And actually, so he settled, eventually he settled into, I think he went originally to downtown. He was downtown Toronto or Roncesvalles area. He had a partnership with someone, didn't go well. And then he settled in New Toronto.
New Toronto, the neighborhood you're sitting in right now.
Yeah, New Toronto was an industrial arrival to Toronto for industry. And so they were trying to compete for businesses for the industrial sector.
Goodyear was very prominent here.
Yeah, Goodyear and Campbell Soup has been here for years. I think they're still here.
No, they're gone.
Oh, they're gone. Okay. Yeah.
But they were here forever.
There were a whole bunch of industries at that time. So having those industries, you needed houses for the workers, and eventually it started to populate it a little bit better. And, basically they built a theater across the street called the Capitol Theater, very famous place. And my great-grandfather established a restaurant business there called the Capitol Tea House or Capitol Restaurant. And it was very successful for many years. And he built a whole bunch of buildings on Lakeshore. So a couple of them are still in existence, and we own them in the family for years.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I didn't know this.
And there's a few houses, and we still have a few houses in New Toronto as well. So, and I'm not going to say where they are.
Oh, because
I don't want you to stalk my extended family.
Don't dox your extended family.
Yeah, so my grandmother, she was very poor in Greece, and she said she was discovered. She was working in the fields, and a lady came out to her and said, "Okay, you're going to marry my grandson. So the old lady came and said, "You're going to marry my grandson." So she didn't ever meet him. She said to her father, "Let me go so you don't have to feed me anymore."
Wow.
And at 16 years old, she traveled right before the war too. It was in 1939, and she traveled and arrived in Halifax, and never met my grandfather, and they got married here in Canada. And my mom was born here, and my uncles were a little bit in the restaurant business, and had some businesses here in New Toronto, and one of them was called Chubby's Deli. It was a famous deli in New Toronto at the time. My uncle was a pretty popular guy, and he used to insult all the customers. Kind of rubbed off.
Oh, that's
on,
where you get it from.
Yeah, probably rubbed off on me.
You know what? The acorn doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah. He used to insult all the customers and everything like that. I used to work there in the deli as well, and it was a nice time. He was a happy guy, and he was also eventually the president of the New Toronto's Business Association. Not sure if it still exists. It could be called something else.
Lakeshore Village, BIA, because they put
it's
on
called
that
Lakeshore
parade.
Village, but it used to be called New Toronto. So New Toronto Business Association. He was president for many years, and little did you know that he was the one who started the Santa Claus parade here in New Toronto.
Okay, whoa, back up the truck here. Well, first of all, what was your uncle's name?
Peter Ramus.
Peter Ramus. So think about this.
The late Peter Ramus. He passed away recently.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope he was buried at Ridley Funeral. Not buried. Had his services at Ridley Funeral Home.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So shout out to. I'm sure that when Brad Jones listens to this episode, he'll recall that. Of course.
Yeah, I went to school with the Ridley guys.
Okay. Well, Ridley, they've been here since 1921. Had a different name at the beginning, but it's been Ridley Funeral Home for a very long time now.
Also, you know what? Sorry. No, it's Ward.
Oh, wait, let's fix that in post. We'll fix that in post. Let's fix that in post.
But we've been to the Ridley Funeral Homes many times. My grandmother had the service there.
Okay.
That's right here on Lakeshore, too. So.
14th and Lakeshore.
Yeah. Been there many times. Sorry, I did a plug for Ward. Apologize.
Well, Ward,
apologize, Ridley.
Screw Ward. I think that they got gobbled up by a conglomerate. Ridley Funeral Home remains fiercely independent. But let me just put a little, let me just take a moment here.
So take a moment, because I just said my uncle is the one
who started
the New Toronto, or what do they call it now?
They call it the Lakeshore
Village Santa Claus Parade?
Actually, they call it the Etobicoke Lakeshore Santa Claus Parade now.
Yeah, well, that's my uncle started it.
So that's an unbelievable story. Your uncle started that parade.
And here I am here with Toronto Mike.
In 2025, did you know you would be friends and partners with the Grand Marshal?
I'm
that's
pretty
unbelievable.
excited about it.
I think this is an unbelievable, and I'm actually really glad.
What a coincidence, eh?
On the live stream, because we're live at live.torontomike.com.
Oh, we're live streaming this thing?
Everything gets live streamed down here. Jeremy Hopkin is on the live stream, and he is the official Toronto historian of the Toronto Mike podcast.
Is he here? Is he going to join us?
He says it's very cool to hear your family's history, and I'm sure he's taking notes in some of these establishments, and he can update me next time, because he visits once a quarter to do this or that.
Cool.
He can update me on what's going on with your family's developments. I believe that theater.
Am I frozen here?
Where?
I don't know. It looks like I'm frozen.
Don't worry, but that's the live stream.
Okay.
No, I'm recording this. You're fine. This is the real
that's
one.
the live stream.
You're can I tell you this? I believe you're too focused on the video when it is the audio that is king.
Well, you know what? Let's, of course, the content audio-wise is very important. People are listening to it. However, when you're speaking with human beings, it's a visual connection as well.
Well, tell that to the radio.
Because we speak with our eyes and our emotions, and, this is as an intelligent human beings, we have to watch all signs of communication.
Okay, well, I'm always taking notes.
Because I can tell when people are lying, so I'm watching you.
Okay. Also, listen, I know that we do record, and we're going to get into all of this. We record episodes of Building Success and Building Toronto Skyline, and you visit for that. But I'm just here, friendly reminder that this is Toronto Mic'd. Okay,
yeah,
so it's a little different animal here.
I have to be nice.
No, you have to be nice for sure.
Am I being nice?
You're being delightful. Like, so far, good advice on the skunk. Beautiful ups for Brampton, which is a city I believe is far nicer than the reputation it has. And I think that reputation is based in racism, and I don't like racism. I have zero tolerance for racism. Well, if you had a buddy who said something blatantly racist, would you let it go, or would you just call him out and say that's a bullshit sentence?
What does it mean? What do you mean?
Like this, like I don't want to.
Depends if it's a joke or not. Like, I mean, I work in construction, so we got a lot of ignorant people in construction. So I won't have.
If there's malice behind it,
I won't have. No, if there's malice, you can't say anything. That's unacceptable.
You'll stomp down on that.
Yeah, I'll say, shut your mouth.
Because I
would have swore just now.
You can swear on this show.
No, like, I mean, listen, we all joke around. Like,
right.
I have an Iranian guy that works for me. I bug him about. I'll say, listen, I'm going to chop off a finger if you make another mistake.
Okay.
So, like, you're talking about like the Iranian regime in Iran, and we kind of joke around about it, right?
Busting chops.
Yeah, but we joke. I mean, we joke. People joke about me being Greek. I joke about my supers being Portuguese and pork chops, and so that's like a little bit of fun,
like a Russell Peters type. Fun, right?
Yeah, you have a little bit of fun. You make fun of each other. That's and you know what? That happens on the job site. There you got a bunch of construction guys. They don't know any better. They just, that's the talk on the site. Everybody makes fun of each other, and that's a sort of camaraderie is what we're establishing there.
Okay, let me tell you what's bothering me, and you can give me some more advice before I get to a late-breaking
But
story.
racism is unacceptable. You shouldn't make someone feel bad based on their skin color or their ethnic background or their culture. Like we accept at Fusion Corp and Nick Ainis, we accept everybody.
Beautiful.
Most of the time.
Put that on a t-shirt. Put that on a t-shirt. Seriously, sell those things. But I'm concerned about science. There's you know what FOTM means. You're an FOTM, friend of Toronto Mike, okay?
I am.
I had on a young woman who was on the radio, and I liked the cut of her jib, and her name was and is Dahlia Kurtz, okay?
Yeah.
She had crazy hair. She's a shorter woman. She didn't have to watch her head down here. Crazy hair. I like the crazy hair. And a good rap on her, which means we had a good chat. Like, I really enjoyed it. She's the daughter of survivors of the Holocaust. It was all very interesting, actually. Dahlia Kurtz. And then another FOTM named Lanrick Bennett Jr., he sent me screen caps of Dahlia Kurtz on the app known as X, formerly known as Twitter. See, I'm not hanging out there anymore, and I missed this completely. But Dahlia Kurtz posted full-blown racism against Somalian people. Like, just gross, horrific statements about Somalian people. But then I actually noticed she had reposted it. So she had actually, not only did she not have like, maybe I was, I don't know, a couple drinks in me, or maybe I was just in a bad mood, I'm going to delete this. No, she actually reposted it because she was proud of this. And it's still there today. And I'm just sort of personally disappointed that somebody could have such blatantly gross racist views in 2025. Dahlia Kurtz. So just...
Well, I don't know if anyone... Usually that's ignorance, to be honest with you. And especially if she comes from something like her background has suffering in the Holocaust and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Clearly that's... they almost destroyed a whole culture and race. But, racism exists. I don't know what to tell you, but I think if you don't know any better and you're actually attacking people, you're hurting other people, you're hurting yourself, to be honest with you.
I think what's happened is, obviously, I'm not, naive. I know racism has always exists, and I know racism exists, of course, but I think what I'm noticing in this day and age is that it seems like people are sort of no longer ashamed of their racism. In fact, they seem rather proud of it. Like, maybe that's a social media thing. Maybe that's your buddy Trump in a second term here. I feel like people are emboldened to hold inherently racist views in a way that maybe they weren't feeling that way in the 90s or whatnot. Am I out to lunch? You can tell me if I'm out to lunch.
Well, I think people have been racist for a long time.
But maybe now, yes, people have been racist.
But now you have a social media platform. It's all over the place. So
no shame anymore.
I don't think, I really don't. I just look at the person at the end of the day. So, you got to be able to distinguish differences, though, in cultures. So if you have some culture and they're completely ignorant and they don't have any manners, or they don't try to have any manners, I'm not going to like that person. Right?
But you're basing it on the person, not their culture.
I always base things on the person.
Okay. See, that's different. It's like you're not.
So
going
you know what? So, for example, I hired a guy from Nigeria. People told me don't hire people from Nigeria. There's scammers and everything like that. And I said, what kind of person am I going to be if I don't hire this guy? I got to give him a chance.
I'm glad to hear you.
So I gave him a chance, and this guy is phenomenal. He does all my social media. The guy's like a whiz. I proved everybody wrong that you should never judge a book by its cover or its background. But I gave him a chance, and that's the kind of person I am. I couldn't do it. It's not in me.
You just earned yourself a large beef lasagna from Palma Pasta. It's in my freezer right now.
2?
You want 2?
I shouldn't take 2.
So you know what? You're always on. You're always a businessman. Somebody offers you a free lasagna. You're negotiating for 2.
What can I say?
Why not 3?
Okay, I'll take 3.
Okay, well, I'm gonna need a bigger. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
To be honest with you, my wife probably will kill me if I bring 3 home. So
okay, well, I'm gonna need a bigger freezer.
take 2.
But you're definitely taking home some Palma Pasta lasagna. On that note, and we got an important note regarding a architect who passed away,
Frank Gehry.
But before that, why did I not see your beautiful face at TMLX 21 at Palma's Kitchen a couple of weekends ago?
Well, you held it on a Saturday, I guess, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You can't come out and play on Saturdays?
You know what? It's life is challenging, Mike. What can I say?
You were busy. You had other things to do.
Things are always happening, and things get in the way sometimes.
Because you would have loved it. It was a huge crowd.
It sounds like it looked
people.
amazing. I always kick myself when I don't go to events.
Well, I only record the one.
I always see the best. I go to the worst Toronto Mike events, and not the best ones.
Yeah, I'll translate that for the listenership. He goes to the events that are capped at 40 people. Literally, that's
I get all the weirdo Toronto Mike listeners.
No, they're all weird. That's part of the joy of this community.
All the weirdos.
But we cap the GLB Brew Pub events at 40. Okay, but that's a rule from GLB Brew Pub. But when we go to Palma's Kitchen or Great Lakes Brewery, there's no cap. Like whoever shows up, shows up. So you're going to smaller events.
I missed out.
More intimate events. You're missing out here. So there's breaking news here from the aforementioned Jeremy Hopkin, and this will tie into Frank Gehry, who I want to talk to you about. But this is the news right now this morning coming from Jeremy. You ready?
Okay.
You braced? I noticed your phone keeps going off.
Yeah, everybody's calling me right now.
Well, maybe that's okay. So Frank Gehry, you know that here in Toronto, there's the Forma condo on King West.
It's a beautiful design by Frank Gehry, and I guess, did you get me my bookings?
I'm working on it. I think I know why they've been unresponsive to talk publicly with somebody like yourself. You're such a journalist. They have just announced this morning that they're going to put a hold on the
project,
the second tower. So
the first tower is going though. Good.
The first tower's going, but the second tower.
When did you find this out?
This morning from Jeremy Hopkin. This was released by the people behind Forma. So the reason is, according to them, is poor state of the condo market.
Well, that goes without saying.
Well, you're the expert. Before we talk about Frank Gehry specifically, and then we could talk about Forma, how are you doing? So Fusion Corp, when you and I first met each other, we talked quite a bit about condo developments, but that industry, by all accounts, is frozen.
Dead.
Like the skunk in my backyard. So can you talk to me and the listenership?
Well, condos, the sales of I guess you got to rewind a little bit. So we had all these projects, a lot of cost escalations, and projects where interest rates started to rise, and I think a lot of people got into trouble. And, I guess the whole affordability issue comes up, and people can't afford their mortgages anymore. You were there. I was there. We heard everything on the news. So you have this lack of demand. It creates a lack of demand for everything. Developers started going into receivership in some cases, and projects got stalled or canceled. And then you have a bunch of inventory units on the market, and and we had a huge investor market too that was fueling the condo industry. So that died. They couldn't make those numbers work anymore either. So the whole condo industry died. Now nobody will buy. We don't know. People probably don't want to invest in condos right now. They don't want to buy a condo anymore. Some people, I think people in general don't want to buy housing to some degree, and I think it's also an affordability issue. So I think as demand decreases and projects get canceled, it's going to be a long road to recovery in the condo industry. And as a business, it's affected me because I had projects that got canceled or on hold. And at the end of the day, what am I going to do? Cry?
You pivot.
That's what I did. So everybody's going to rent. Like, the common thing is that people are going into the rental market. There's all this they call it missing middle housing. But I look at everything. I mean, you got to look for opportunities no matter what. Here's an opportunity to say, hey, it's a bad market right now. So I got to double down and look at other opportunities wherever they are and reinvent Fusion Corp. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm pushing for, to distinguish myself as a builder because I've got a lot more competition now. If you don't have all these condo buildings, you got everybody competing for a rental market. So what do you got to do? You got to make yourself competitive. You have to distinguish yourself from another company. And, at Fusion Corp, we changed our tagline. It's called building. Now it's called building through innovation. And I think that's a testament to where we want to showcase Fusion Corp and what we're all about now. We're pushing modular constructions and speed to delivery, and we're getting fast approvals. We're all about action and executing. So, I want people to know about that, and we're using all the latest technology out there. I got lots of things on the go, and
well, actually,
very,
I'm going to
exciting.
spend some time with you before we wrap up talking about these things on the go, because only the things I know about. This is quite a list of things, but it is interesting here. So in south of Etobicoke, of course, where your uncle started the Etobicoke Lakeshore Santa Claus Parade many moons ago. The couple of big things. One is, of course, the Cloverdale Mall. It was going to shut down, and there's going to be a big development. And then they said they canceled it because they couldn't. I guess you need to sell, what is it, 20% or something before?
No, you got to sell like 75 to 80%
before you put the
Sometimes
shovel in the ground.
65 if you're a big developer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, nothing's going to get built. Okay, and then the other thing in south of Etobicoke, in my backyard,
Sherway Gardens.
Well, what was planned for Sherway? I don't even remember.
I just condos, but they were big boys, and they're going to just wait.
They're going to wait. And then the Islington Queensway movie theater was basically going to be shuttered because of a development that was going to go there in that space. And we got word, of course, that, hey, that's been paused. So the theater will be around for several more years at least.
Yeah, there you go.
So now we learn
great examples.
Forma. I've been trying to get a hold of somebody at Forma to talk to you on building Toronto Skyline, but that's a Frank Gehry condo. So my question for you, I want to talk about Frank, but Frank Gehry, and I had a episode of Toronto Mike earlier this week.
I don't want to talk too much about Frank because I haven't done the podcast. So
okay, well, we just tease her a bit. I had Jim Shedden on to talk about his experience working with Frank Gehry, and it was a very interesting episode of Toronto Mike. People can find it in the Toronto Mike feed from this week. But for a Toronto guy, how come there's not more examples in Toronto of Frank Gehry designs? Like there's not. You have the art gallery.
I think, you know what? I think it's because he went to the U.S. and did a whole bunch of work.
He became American.
Became more international. So
we had to share him with Paris.
But he's from Toronto, and he's a Toronto guy.
So can you give us a nutshell?
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean it's interesting that hey, Toronto-born Frank Gehry.
Maybe he was a Trump supporter. Who knows?
Okay, but he lived a long time before Trump was
I'm
president.
Just
I know.
I highly doubt he was a Trump supporter.
Do you want a Trump segment? I can add it to the end of the show.
No, I don't want no Trump segment.
We'll skip the Trump segment here. But maybe you can even tease a future episode of Building Toronto Skyline. But what are your thoughts on the late, great Frank Gehry?
Well, I mean, listen, when someone with a legacy dies, you want to learn more about him. You want to learn about his life. I mean, I think that's with anyone. At the end of the day, to some degree. So anyone who's call it famous or has done something incredible in their lifetime, you want to learn about his life. You want to learn about what he created, and you want to learn for many reasons. Maybe it's because you want to do something that learn about how this gentleman, extraordinary person, created so much success. And I guess that's the point of building success. We're interviewing the most successful people in the world right now, and you got to book me some new guests as well. So start getting to it. Why don't you reach out to your CNN guys?
No, I'll get Audie Cornish.
Get me Don Lemon.
He's right. I think I know Don Lemon just because he's a very famous person. But is he still at CNN? I haven't had CNN on my cable box for a very long time. So
or get Jake Tapper or whatever his name is.
How much time do you spend? You're a busy guy. How much time do you spend consuming American news like CNN or Fox News or whatever?
Well, I never said which one I listened to.
Well, I can see you having both on.
I'm not much. I used to be a full-time CNN guy, and then everything kind of just went crazy.
Is that code for Trump got elected?
Yeah, Trump got elected. Yeah.
And then what? You started?
Well, no, I think it's just because the news has been just insane.
Yeah.
It's we're no longer reporting news. We're reporting too much opinion and gossip and. He said, she said. I don't know. I just couldn't watch it anymore.
Well, you could always consume PBS News.
Well, they're government sponsored as well, right?
Well, it's different. It's mainly it's a bit of government sponsored. But what's the difference? You don't think CBC or BBC and these public broadcasters?
They're terrible. They're terrible.
TVO.
Yeah, they're awful.
So tell me why.
TVO is okay, probably. Well, because they're too. Well, I mean, listen. I'm not a left. They're very left-wing oriented, and they're pushing, various ideological
you believe
sort
this?
of vision. Yeah, I truly believe it. Yeah.
Do you think you're suggesting that it's like that way because the liberals are in power?
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did you ever see this when we were like in the 80s and the 90s? Was it really that bad back then? No.
I'm not sure what we're talking about, but I can tell you that Stephen Harper was prime minister for a decade, not that long ago. Did you detect a editorial shift on the CBC when Stephen Harper had a majority?
Honestly, I rarely look at the CBC. I'm not interested. Well, I am interested in Canadian news, obviously, but I don't know. I find it too much of a left wing ideological viewpoint, and they're just everybody's stuck with their view, and instead of doing some real journalism.
Now, TVO, the public broadcaster here in Ontario, we've had, what is it now, 3 majorities in a row for the Progressive Conservative Party led by Doug Ford. So that's okay, but prior to that, McGuinty and Wynne were in power.
Well, we're talking about
time.
Actually politicians. I mean, we're not really. I'm not. I just if you're talking about the news organizations or the politicians are the politicians. I mean, what would you like me to say about that?
No, I guess I'm just wondering. I haven't, and again, you're going to tell me it's because I'm a lefty, but I didn't detect any change at all when a conservative party was in power versus
they're always because the news organizations are always left wing kind of crazies.
Do you think we should defund the CBC?
I don't know why we're funding them in the first place. Why are we funding them?
Well, it's a very big country. Not every part of this big country is Toronto, which has a wealth of media.
Well,
there are parts of this country where the only people checking in on, council meetings and this and that is CBC. Like, this is such a vast country.
Well, I mean, doesn't that say something about our news organizations?
Well, that's it though. If we leave it to the private sector, they're going to pull out of these smaller markets because there's not enough revenue. And then the only people getting news is going to be like, oh yeah, Montreal.
Honestly, I don't really know much about it, but I don't know why we're supporting one news organization.
Okay, well,
why are we paying for it?
It is the public broadcaster.
Supposed to be. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on because I don't think we got a.
Listen. Then you're not really getting, unbiased news, are you?
Although later, I won't put you on the spot now, but please send me the CBC article you think is biased and why. I am naturally curious.
Well, listen. Okay, sure.
Okay, that's your homework.
We
each assigned each other homework. But you never
did
answer my question about Frank Gehry. So what
would you like to know about Frank Gehry?
I want to know you as a guy who studied architecture, right? Remind us about your schooling for architecture. Like, you almost became an architect.
Well, Not really, but
But you went to school for architecture.
I went to school for architecture. So I mean, listen, I was always fascinated with, my early start was art and art history. So that's where I was in high school. I did some art, had some art classes, learned about art history and then architectural history. We did a stint in high school about architectural history. I was always a big history buff, and I loved to study, ancient buildings and, older buildings, always fascinated me of the time, of their construction, of their design. And, I mean, if you're not learning about different types of building systems, and, it's part of my industry and part of my passion. So I think, I'm also a bit of an opportunist. I'm looking for a good story. So I have a podcast, right? It's my job to look for good stories, and this came, obviously, unfortunately, this came along in the passing of great Torontoian. And how do I, as a good podcast host of Building Toronto Skyline, not seize the moment and talk about his story?
Well, you absolutely should. And when I was talking
and
to
you
Jim,
did too.
I did.
You stole my idea, and you reached out to someone you knew already.
I did, but I did tell you I was
stole
doing
my
that.
ideas. You stole my CN Tower idea.
I've stolen two guests from you, because Jim
Yeah.
Shedden, who was at TMLX 21, unlike you, my friend, he was there. That was going to happen with or without you. But the two episodes I definitely stole from you, Les Klein.
Yeah, you stole. There's Les Klein. You stole
I gave you,
Jack
props.
Mosley from
Jack Mesley.
Okay, and the CN Tower.
Yeah, same guy, Jack Mesley from the CN Tower.
Mesley.
Mesley, Wendy Mesley's cousin.
Yeah.
Speaking of
there
the
you go.
CBC.
You see, you were stealing all my ideas already.
So obviously you didn't listen, because the opening remarks, I believe, are full credit to Nick Ainis, who introduced us when you were a guest on Building Toronto Skyline. I give so much
love and credit,
credit and love and praise to you when I borrow your guests. So there's only been two.
Steal is a better word for it.
Jack Mesley, who was great, the iron worker on the CN Tower, and of course 299 Queen Street West is why I had Les Klein over here. But Jim Shedden was mine. If anything, maybe you can steal Jim from me. It would be great. So I guess
see.
Because
you got to get me those guests.
Yeah, well, Forma sounds like they had some huge stuff they were going to announce, and it just came out. So did they want to do a podcast with journalist Nick Ainis when they had the second tower that was going to be put on hold a week after the gentleman who designed it dies? And I just want to say something about Frank Gehry, and I said this to Jim Shedden. I played a clip of Frank Gehry on The Simpsons. Frank Gehry was a voice on The Simpsons playing himself.
Wow, isn't that interesting?
He's the only architect who can make that claim. And I believe he was, and still is, he's only died recently, but the most famous architect in the world. I believe that more people know the name Frank Gehry than any other architect. What do you think?
Well, I would say there's many famous architects.
Who is the most famous architect in the world if it's not Frank Gehry?
There's just too many of them, Mike.
Frank Lloyd Wright.
The problem is, not many people know all the architects out there, right?
Well, and that's why
study architecture.
That's why you have many architects on your fine podcast, Building Toronto Skyline. So I want to ask you about your podcast and some stuff that's coming up for you in Fusion Corp. But I want to tell you a pro tip here, which is if you need to buy somebody in your life a Christmas present or a holiday gift, okay? Honestly, go to well, you're good at this, but Palma Pasta to feed them.
Palma Pasta.
Retrofestive.ca, but they have a store in Oakville. So a short drive to Oakville, you can visit with Ty the Christmas guy and his lovely family.
Yeah.
And you can check out, go to retrofestive.ca and see what they have.
Am I going to buy those glasses from...
Moose mugs?
Those moose mugs? Where are they?
Absolutely, they sell moose. I don't have any on me right now, but I know you've got one.
From Christmas Vacation, right?
From Christmas Vacation, and they sell
you see
those.
How I can connect the dots. You see that, Mike?
Do you have a leg lamp in that Brampton home? Remember the leg lamp?
A leg lamp. What's a leg lamp?
Well, it's from A Christmas Story. Yeah, it's a major award.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You can get a leg lamp. At TMLX, we got little leg lamps. They were really cool. But I urge people to save 10% at retrofestive.ca with the promo code FOTM. That's your marching orders. But go to Oakville and check out that store. And pro tip for you, Nick, this works in Brampton. It works across this fine country of ours. if you go to recyclemyelectronics.ca and you put in your postal code, you can find out where you can drop off your old cables, your old phones, your old electronics, old devices. You drop it off to be properly recycled so those chemicals don't end up in our landfill. What do you think of that, buddy?
I never knew.
Yeah? Well, now you know.
Just smash it on the floor and throw it in the
I
garbage.
can see you
can.
doing that. That BlackBerry blowing
That's
the
to your audience out there. Smash it on the floor.
Tell me, please, about
Poor audience.
the two podcasts that you have and how they're different. Just differentiate. So, Building Toronto Skyline.
Well, let's talk about Building Toronto Skyline's the premier brand, in my opinion. It's the most, I guess, successful. It's the most relevant podcast I have. It integrates well with Fusion Corp. So, and it's easy to book people on that show because I'm sort of very intertwined in the industry. So, that's pretty amazing. And I love doing the podcast. It's my sort of it's right in my wheelhouse. And like I said, I love talking about. I want to learn everything I can about the industry. This is the best way to learn is to talk to people. Find out. That's the way the Greeks learn. They philosophize with each other.
And that's why we're seeking somebody from Forma to talk with us about the Gary Towers. But I just got sent the article in the Toronto Star that Jeho was referencing. It's from today. The major headline says, second Gary Tower paused due to market. And then the
and
next
that's going to
byline.
be a great Building Toronto Skyline episode. So let's get back onto that.
Forma developer has also halted sales until the first condo building is finished.
Yeah.
So we'll see how
cool.
eager they are to talk. Absolutely. But tell me about building success.
Yeah, I think we wanted to sort of broaden the audience. That's why I created Building Success. It started off being mostly about making money in real estate and investing in real estate. It's kind of been sort of organically growing. And now we've, thanks to you, we've met a lot of successful people, like famous people, and I think that's been an interesting take on it, and booking these sort of high profile guests, and talking to them about what it takes to be a successful person, and that's something that I wanted the audience to learn. What does it take? Because there are many paths to success, and sometimes it's luck, meeting the right people at the right time. And I would say that there's many parts of me that I would say that I've been successful. But there's many, it's not enough for me, obviously. I'm looking for more and more and more and more. Just my nature. I always want to find new avenues, things that excite me, ideas that excite me. I'm using a lot of AI today, to sort of help that path. And I think that's, it gives you like this amazing energy to wake up every day and get charged on ideas, because ideas really charge our brains. I don't know why. Maybe there's a science to it. And it's not every day. There's day, because things like as an entrepreneur and building a business, it's a grind too. It's a freaking grind. Can I say F-U-C-K on this show? Or
yes,
what?
you can, Nick.
Well, I don't want to, but my industry is really a grind. You got to wake up every day. If you don't like what you're doing, you are dead in the water. There's a lot of pressures. There's a lot of issues that come up. Look, I'm getting like 8 or 9 phone calls already this morning.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stress, and it's you got to go through and do the little things that to create opportunities, and it's not always fun. But there are exciting moments, and I guess sometimes that's why I like new ideas, because I'm always coming up with new ideas.
Well, can I pepper you with some notes I've taken? I've known you now for over a year, I'd say. I've known Nick Ainis, and I'll be honest with you, I dig you, man.
You dig me?
Yeah. Like you come off
Well, I'm
like
leaving.
this tough exterior, and you'll be like, let's defund CBC, and let's this not.
I never said defund CBC.
I got to pull the tape.
You're trying to. I said that.
pretty sure you pretty
I'm
much
not
said
saying
that.
defund
You said I don't know
CBC,
why
but you know
we
what?
fund the CBC.
But why I don't know. It's
Because
costing
CBC,
us
if you don't fund it, it becomes just another CTV. And if you've noticed, CTV, if they don't find a smaller market in this country to be profitable
But that's
to their
that's
expectations,
economics, yeah.
they pull out. So you're saying
so
everything,
let somebody else figure that out.
everything needs to be a revenue generator.
Well, that's what business is.
Yes, but we live in Canada, right? Which is, I'm not going to say
So we live in Canada.
So, for example...
Well, I mean, listen, PBS is also subsidized by United States government.
Not nearly as much as CBC
Well,
would be
there you go.
subsidized. And again, CBC not
There you
nearly
go.
as subsidized as BBC in the USA. Did I say that? In England, for example, right?
And look, they control the narrative too, and it's always left wing.
But if I may, I'm going to say one last word on this, and then I do want to ask you about
let's
some
move
new
on.
things. But I
It's
just want to
annoying.
say,
I
do
hate
you
this.
really believe Mark Carney and his government are somehow dictating the editorial
not-
nature of CBC?
No, not really.
Okay, because it sounds like you're suggesting that.
I think people are just well intertwined in that industry, and they've been working there for years. And all the journalists, they're all the same. You know, I guess they share very similar ideologies to Mark Carney, though. I'm not saying Mark Carney's a bad guy. He's doing a lot better than I would have thought.
I thought you were going to say better than his predecessor.
Oh, way better. 10 times
He's
better.
busy with Katy Perry now.
100 times better. At least he's trying to do something for businesses. You know,
Okay.
that's...
Another MP
just
crossed the floor
yeah,
yesterday.
I know. So he's like one MP away from majority again.
That's right. That makes Elizabeth May the most powerful person in the country.
Oh, you think so? Not for very long. I'm
She's
sure.
the prime minister
Someone
now.
else across. I think they're going to get somebody else across eventually, and it'll be over.
Do you think
But-
that's because of how unpopular Pierre Poilievre is?
I'm not quite sure what's behind it.
Because they're probably not
I don't
spending enough
think- I
time
don't
on
think-
that
you
on
know, did
CNN.
Are they wooing people away from the Conservative Party?
I
think they're getting something they're probably going to get something in return.
I don't have this insight, but I feel like this
That's
is
what
tied
people
to
do.
the leadership
You ever
of
watch
Pierre Poilievre.
Lincoln? There was what was it? Lincoln, that movie? Was it?
I
Called
did see
Lincoln?
it. Yeah, Steven Spielberg directed
So that's
this.
what Abraham
Daniel
Lincoln-
Day-Lewis.
Yeah, great actor. I love
Oh.
that guy.
You kidding me? At my
Get
left
him on
foot.
the show.
Oh,
Get him on the show.
He's in a great movie
I
by
love-
Paul Thomas Anderson called There Will Be Blood.
Oh,
And
I love.
Have you seen the new
I've-
Paul Thomas Anderson movie? What's the name of
One
this?
Battle After
One
Another?
Battle After Another.
I was kind of, I don't know.
Oh, you didn't like it? I think
It
that's
was
going to win
okay.
Best
It
Picture
was
at the
okay.
Oscars.
But what for? Well, why was it so great?
It was tremendous.
It was about ice.
It was ice adjacent. Okay. All right. Speaking of ice, no, I want to
Ice
ask you, and I want to
It
put
was
a plea out
okay.
there.
It was okay. There are no great movies. There Will Be Blood was a great movie, and he was a great actor in it.
Absolutely.
And he should have won for Gangs of New York too. But Denzel's a great actor too. I love Denzel.
There's some great actors out there.
Yeah.
I'm a little movie talk in here. I never know where it's going to go when we chat. I like it. And I'm going to
Yeah.
pick up some things I've heard
So
through
we
the
were
last few
talking
months.
about
But I want,
building Toronto's skyline and building success. Yeah.
so those two exist today. So I want to be clear.
And I haven't even
You
really
can subscribe
tried to
today.
monetize them. Like I don't have time. It's hard to even focus on.
Well, it's
that. I
all
should
part
try
of the brand, the Nick Ainis brand.
Yeah, I could try
right?
to monetize if I could.
But you mentioned AI.
Yes.
Any possibility of, I don't know, a new AI podcast or something regarding AI
There might be
technologies?
something coming down the road about AI, yes, and I have some ideas with we're doing a technology company, software company. I'm not going to mention the name.
Okay, I won't mention it. I have it here. I won't
You
say
have
it.
it there.
won't say it.
It's very, it's in development. I've created a white paper on what I'm proposing.
Did you create it or did AI create it?
Well, with the help of AI,
'Cause then you got the
I've never
snakes eating
created.
its
I've
tail.
never. Listen, you need AI to help you.
Right.
I can't. I've never done a white paper before. If let's say AI didn't exist, I'd have to hire someone to do that for me.
That's right, a technical writer.
So I did look into that because I was going to do some kind of blockchain idea that I had,
Well, hey, that...
and I went out to this guy from Poland.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I found him, but I found him on the internet, and he was going to charge me $10,000 US for a white paper on blockchain technology in construction or real estate. So, it's all these things that now can be done on your own at home. but you have to input the right information to AI, otherwise it's going to spit out all sorts of nonsense.
Well, how
if you're
can you
not
tell the
careful.
difference between the?
Well, you're the interpreter, so.
Do you do fact checking on the what AI
Well,
produces?
we don't use words like fact checking, but we are
Verification?
Well, you just look at at some point I'm gonna sort of critically analyze the document and make changes if I need to. And so that'll form the basis of my idea, and I'm going to go out into the marketplace and see where that lands. And
wow,
it could be $1 billion idea, it could be a multi-million-dollar idea. Again, these are all long shots, right? Everything in being an entrepreneur is a long shot, but it's also time. I've got Fusion Corp takes a lot of my time. I do the podcasts, and I have a bunch of other ideas that I haven't. Gotten around to.
Well, let me ask you about one. So
AI is something I want to talk about a lot in terms of entrepreneurialism. So there's a place for it in building success. There's definitely a place for it for construction. We're using AI every day as a productivity tool wherever needed. It's an extra help that we didn't have before, and it's useful. But you got to be careful when you use it.
Well, I want to ask you mentioned blockchain, et cetera, but we're actually, maybe this is a plea for the listenership. If anyone out there can connect me with a person who is successful in the crypto
investor
investment world, we'd love to talk to a successful crypto investor. Do you invest in crypto, Mr. Ainis?
I have a few crypto holdings, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Can you spend a moment here talking about a potential, crypto and crypto build and where you could see yourself going? You mentioned you're pretty diverse with your entrepreneurial ventures.
Listen, I don't know a lot about cryptocurrencies. I guess there's various types of currencies that you can invest in. Some are more volatile than others. Some are basically worthless. You have to be careful. However, it's probably going to be a form of money, currency in the future. That's what I'm banking on. And they all are different, and they all have different purposes for them. So I'm not going to get too much into it, Mike, because I'm not a big crypto expert as of yet. And but I'm doing a lot of research. I am investing in a bit of cryptocurrencies, and I think it's an exciting, new. If you look down in the U.S., there's a lot of support for cryptocurrencies now, and I see that's going to probably explode in the next 10, 20 years. I think it's going to be more commonplace. I think it's probably going to replace a lot of the current finance systems that we're using today. It's faster technology, and there's a place for it in the construction industry as well. I'm not going to get into that either, because there's something that I'm developing on that side too. It's a blockchain technology for construction, and it's a method of payment for all the stakeholders and participants, because our payment systems are very, very challenging and awkward and difficult, and if they're not done correctly, it could lead to delays and all sorts of other issues.
If you tell me any more, you're going to either have me sign an NDA or you're going to have to kill me.
Well,
I feel I already know too much.
It's not going to be easy to kill you, because your audience will kill me.
Yeah, that's why I got to live stream these visits, because at least somebody, J-Ho or whoever else is tuned in right now, at least somebody, J-Lo, yeah. Do you know J-Lo? Who's hotter, J-Lo or Katy Perry? Just curious. Okay.
Well, Katy Perry has lost all her beauty now that she's with Trudeau.
Ouch.
I don't know. I can't even fathom what's going on there.
Well, two attractive single people can have some adult
Trudeau?
fun. You don't think he's attractive?
He's I don't want to get into that.
Okay, well,
you know why? Because I'm going to say something very nasty.
Okay, well, you can. This is the place for that.
I think she's dating a lesbian, but that's okay.
Wow, I don't even know where to go with that. Okay, well,
it's all over the internet.
I'm not on this part of the internet. Seriously, that didn't make it to my Reddit homepage.
Okay,
you can tell me later.
Let's move on.
Speaking of developments,
but I watched the Diddy documentary. Wow, that guy was nuts.
Well, he probably still is, from what I understand too. But
J-Lo, he dated J-Lo.
yeah,
That's why I'm bringing him up.
okay. Well, yeah, I said J-Ho, and I think it sounded like J-Lo.
J-Lo.
Speaking of developments, okay, so again, just to, we talked about the existing podcast. Of course, Fusion Corp is your prime,
my
daily
sort of
grind.
bread
That's
and
paying
butter.
your bills, so you can feed all the cats. And then we talked about things like crypto and AI. But you have a development. Can you speak a little bit about this development in Owen Sound?
Yeah, well, that's the FC. That's my other company, FCA Entertainment and Hospitality Inc. Its focuses on, primarily is the main venue, which is in Owen Sound. It's called the Royal Rose Court, and it's essentially a historic venue similar to a Casa Loma, but in Owen Sound. It's an old courthouse, 1800s courthouse and jail.
Wow.
And we're converting it to an entertainment complex. But right now it's a tough market. Like I said, it's hard to get financing for projects. It's, nobody wants to invest outside of a GTA. I've been, it's been a bit of a grind recently. Whereas you can get money like crazy, 4 or 5 years ago. Now it's hard. The location doesn't help either. But I've designed a multi entertainment complex. So I've got a couple of restaurants. I've got a main kitchen hub, which is going to also be a catering company. I've got the venue, which is renting out spaces for weddings and corporate events, which includes a glass pavilion that'll hold up to 300 to 400 guests. And also the old courtroom venue, which is about 200 to 300 people. And so by day, the courtroom is also going to be a private club, similar to something like the Albany Club. It's going to be a business and social hub. We're going to call it Bishop's Club. There's going to be a cocktail and speakeasy bar in the back where all the jail cells are. So you can actually sit in a jail cell and have a few pints with your friends, and it's going to be a great theme. And we're going to have a speakeasy entertainment area on the third floor. There's going to be a shared workspace. It's a very exciting. We really maximize all square footage of that property and convert it into this amazing place. And it's going to be a grind to get started, but I think I'm going to be in this project for quite a few years.
Well, it sounds amazing. I've been hearing you talk about this, and you've had some guests on Building Toronto Skyline who have, in business with you on this.
Talked about it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So keep me posted, because I'll have a TMLX event in Owen Sound.
And we have a couple of other venues that might be coming up as well. One being in Brampton. I'm not going to say too much about it today. And also we have one that's out on the West Coast area, which is even more exciting.
British Columbia?
I'm not going to tell you which province it's in.
Well, you think, okay, that's too much of a clue?
Yeah, it's way too much of a clue.
Oh, boy.
I'm keeping everything under. I'm sorry to do this, but you have to be very careful with what you say, because number one, when you tell people things, you kill the idea. You have to be very careful when you're.
You got to hold those cards closer to your chest sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see what you'll say about this. So I have in my hand a couple of...
Because then it's out in space, people are listening right now. Then they're going to say, oh, you know what? All these ideas, they're going to take
you're the idea man. We're just giving them a few.
Take my ideas.
They're getting 1% here.
What
but I have in my hand a couple of books written by Nick Ainis. One of them he had a co-writer on, but this one's Building Toronto Skyline, of course. And then you have this book called Battle of the Skyscrapers. Is there any truth to the rumor? And again, we'll see what you'll say about this, but... you might be involved in a skyscraper museum?
Well, they have one in New York City, and I love the idea. And I thought, my whole purpose of writing the books originally, first I said, okay, I want to write a book. Okay. So I said, oh, this would be a cool concept. So it was Building Toronto Skyline. So I've taken it from that concept, and then I say, okay, well, you know what? Nobody really makes money selling books these days. So I said, let's take it to, and I don't really focus on promoting my books to a certain extent, but I said, let's take those themes and build on that, and we turn them into a podcast. I did that with Building Toronto Skyline. I did it with Building Success. I've got that podcast, and I said, okay, now what can I do with Battle of the Skyscrapers? It's a good learning about skyscrapers around the world, and it's a great story about competition, global competition, and wealth. And and say, okay, well, how can I make some money off of this? Because because my concepts are somewhat limited sometimes, because there's only a certain group that are more interested in that. So New York's got this great skyscraper museum, and I'm interested in creating maybe something Canadian version of that.
Speaking of Canadian,
and we can learn all about the major buildings. And you know what? I came up with this idea to do an immersive event for skyscrapers, which I think would be really cool. I mean, they did it for Van Gogh, and they've done it for, I guess, other sort of artists. But imagine going into an immersive experience where, they're sort of this amazing experience about the birth and the history of skyscrapers all over the world. I think that would be a great concept. Now, I tried to make something happen on that, but
we got a lot
didn't work out.
There's a lot of things going on here, and you got the core, pun intended, is Fusion Corp. But then the podcast exists. People can subscribe and listen right now. I just want to point out one episode of Building Toronto Skyline that I tell people about all the time is when you had on the chap from Pinnacle One regarding the
skyscraper in Canada.
I'm watching it grow on my bike rides at 1 Yonge Street, and it's already the tallest skyscraper in this country. And it's going to be 105 floors is what I learned on that episode of Building Toronto Skyline.
That's amazing.
That's the same, just so if you had a penthouse suite, which is available for 40 million. Did I say 40 grand? 40 million. But like if you're at the penthouse, you're the same height as the observation deck of the CN Tower.
CN Tower, yeah, that's right.
Mind-blowing stuff that's going on here. Yeah. And, in your book, you kind of talk about how Canada kind of lags behind with these skyscrapers. Like, it follows the money, and you got a whole bunch going up in the Middle East and New York. And
like I said, and I guess we're a smaller country, and maybe we don't have the population for this,
but Toronto does.
Or the funds, sort of the, it's a different dynamic here. We have a democratic government, right? And it's private industry. It's
damn democracy ruins everything.
Yeah, look at the Middle East. They
Trump
just
said
say,
you can get things done.
If you look at Dubai, they just said, okay, we're gonna do this, and they did it.
Right.
They don't
human rights be damned.
They have the money, they have the power, they can do anything they want over there.
Right.
Forget human rights.
Forget human rights. Forget building codes. Just get her done.
We're just different. That's all. But in the United States is obviously they got all the money, so number one economy in the world.
But it is nice to see.
You can expect that they're going to build something pretty crazy, but not as crazy as what we're seeing in the Middle East right now.
So when we hear about, Forma is going to put that second tower on hold, and we talked about, Sherway, and we talked about Cloverdale. I just shouting out South Etobicoke things. We talk about different developments that are paused because everything's frozen. It is nice to see that I witness with my own eyes every week that they are going to finish that Pinnacle One at 1 Yonge Street.
Yeah,
that's happening.
That's happening.
And it sounds like they're going to that Toronto Star building.
But if you look at Canada right now, it's not happening too much. I think we've been intertwined too much.
How does it bounce back? Like before we say goodbye,
it's scary right now. I'm not quite sure. I think it's a scary time right now.
Because you talk about we've been there before, and we've
been there before. It's different. It's a little bit different now. We have underlying economic issues. We have this issue with the Trump and the trade and everything like that. The tariffs, and our economies have been too intertwined, and I guess they're being
untangled.
Untangled, I guess. Yes.
Right, and that's going to take time, and it's going to take time.
It's going to take decades, to be honest with you.
And it's not going to be right it's not going to be painless.
The only way you can do it is say, okay, countries of all over the world, we're open for business. Get your ass over here. Free no taxes. Invest whatever you want. Here's our resources. Come and exploit them. Now that's a way to do it quickly, but that's not going to happen.
Well, I know
there's too much. We're worried too much about the environment and indigenous groups and getting permission,
humanity,
and that. Well, I don't know. Is it?
See, everybody has different sensibilities. Some people would give up. Like some people, like myself, would happily leave money on the table for the betterment of humanity?
To what extent and to what extreme?
Well, there's a balance to everything.
we
I don't
have
want to
to,
have my
you know.
4 kids living under a bridge, okay? So, but within reason, I don't need that extra 100,000 at the expense of
We need
the
to.
big blue marble.
We need to. I mean, at the end of the day, it's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I got to write that down. Hold on.
Damned if you do,
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Okay.
If you don't innovate, if you don't keep up with the rest of the world, you're behind. And that's your society becomes behind. You start to stagnate, and I don't think that's good for Canada. So we need to innovate. Why don't we have any pipelines? Why don't we have any refineries in Canada? Why don't we have a military?
So
why are we manufacturing our own war planes?
we know the answer, which is we were too closely intertwined with our friends at the time. Anyways, our friends to the south, where we felt we didn't need to worry about this military. They'll protect us. They're our buddies.
That's right.
We got burned. Never again, Nick.
That was a mistake.
Yes.
And you can't blame Trump for that.
Well, we can't blame Trump.
You can
for
blame him. You can blame him for what he's done. But we've been way too reliant and less innovative in Canada.
I agree.
And we should have been.
I 100% agree.
We
we're
should
a
have
sovereign
a military.
nation. We should stand on our own and have our own military, and we shouldn't rely on an untrustworthy neighbor to the south.
I read somewhere they're trying to put together some kind of citizen army in Canada or something like that.
Well, let me lead
300,000, I think, was announced on the CBC, wasn't it?
But you're hearing there is announced on TorontoMike.com, and I am leading the rebellion. So stay tuned, Nick. We're going to be in partner here. So on our way out, though, Nick, because we talk a lot about money.
You came me out?
Money's important. Not yet. We're over an hour here. We're doing great. But I want to close with the human side of Nick Ainis. And 2 topics in particular I hope we can speak to on the way out. Because even though you want to make money and you've got all these, what do you have in the fire? Stokes? What's in the fire? Yes.
Everything.
Everything's in the fire. Okay, there's a big fucking fire here. Call the socialist organization known as the fire department.
Fire department.
I know there's
one. They ask you a million questions before they come.
But at the end of the day, money. At the end of the day, you're a human being.
Well, it's not about money. It's about creating. Okay,
But you measure the success of your creation based on how much money they make. Like that's your measurement of success, right?
No, not all the time. No.
Good.
No.
Well, that's where I'm going here. I want to ask you 2 topics.
I mean, I want money so I can do the things I want to do.
Okay, 2 things I want to talk about.
If I had $60 million, I would be in a much better position.
If you had $60 million, you'd want $120 million.
Keep doing what
if you get one lasagna, you want 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if I said here $60 million, would you just go chill out in Belize or something? No, you know what you would say?
No, I wouldn't.
You would say,
I would.
Let me make another 60.
Well, it wouldn't be about making another 60. It would be, it would change sort of all the things I want to do. And I would travel more, and I would probably be in Belize a couple of times, but work out of there.
Right, because you got to keep the hustle going. This is what drives you. But here's where we're leaving. This is what we're going to talk about before we say goodbye.
I'm ready.
This is for the Nick Ainis heads. Because I'm getting there, brother, but I'm going to tell you now a big thank you from me.
Okay. For
your partnership and support. I enjoy working with you on both sides of the coin here. I love working with you on the... Don't cry. I want you to cry. I want you to be humanized, okay? Your wife takes care of stray cats, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a stray cat you're taking care of. I don't know. But I love working with you on the Nick Ainis, the Fusion Corp stuff. But I love the fact that you support the show and you fuel this real talk. We don't always agree politically. In fact, often we're on the opposite ends of a political spectrum. But you and I can talk about it, and you still support my right to have these conversations with everybody on the political spectrum.
Why not?
You're doing great work.
Thank you.
Because some people, I honestly get notes, and people are like, oh, you had Brad Bradford on, and I'll get notes. And why are you having Brad Bradford on? He's this, that, and the other.
Brad's a great guy.
And I'm saying I don't have to.
We never talked about Brad Bradford.
Well, do a little Brad before I get to these 2 things, because Brad was at TMLX 21. You weren't. But I want to talk about Brad because Brad's running for mayor. In fact, when you pose for the photo by Toronto Tree, I want you to have a bat in your hand the way Brad Bradford had the bat in his hand on the cover of the Toronto Sun. I like Brad Bradford as a human being, and I like talking to Brad Bradford, even though I don't often agree with him politically. This is a fact. But I like talking to you, and I like having a Great Lakes beer with you, and we don't agree politically on many things. I like having conversations with civil conversations with people, just regardless of the political. I don't want to talk to somebody who's going to tell me about racist things about Somalians. I don't want to have that conversation. I won't have that. But we're all open-minded, reasonable people. We're having a conversation. I love it. So thank you for supporting this. Tell me about your recent beer with Brad Bradford. What did you learn?
What did I learn? Nothing that I didn't know already. But it was nice to be in person with Brad and have a beer with Brad. And it was right across from Carmelina Condos where it all began. That's our first major condominium development from Fusion Corp. And it's just nice to be an authentic person, listen to an authentic person. And what I like about Brad is he's got good ideas. He's practical. He's very smart. And he's connected. He's politically connected now. He wasn't originally. But he's like a working man's kind of politician. And that's what people are looking for. That appeals to me. I want someone who's going to, come up with good ideas that are like normal. Forget all this socialist bullshit, okay? I mean, excuse my language.
Like the fire department.
I mean, get rid of these stupid ideas. Just
are
focus
bike lanes
on
stupid ideas?
Well,
I think they're smart ideas.
So listen, I don't think they're stupid. No, of course not. But maybe there's too many of them in the wrong places. So you have to gauge where to have them, where not to have them. For example, I have them in Brampton.
Yeah, I wrote them.
They're fucking doing nothing. I've never seen one.
I was on them last month.
Yeah, you're probably the only one.
Okay.
But you know what? I don't agree with where they put them or why they put them. In Brampton, I don't even know if you really need them. I never see anyone ride their bike, Mike. Don't look at me like that.
I'm not there to tell you
don't
you're
look
wrong.
At me.
I'm just
don't look at me like that. You're getting upset.
One last word of bike lanes.
But Brad, I don't want to make this about.
We're not going to do a bike lane thing.
We need practical. He's got some great ideas. He's ready. He's ready to lead. In my opinion, he's going to take control of Toronto. He's going to make it great again.
Oh shit! If he uses that, he's going to lose.
No, he's going to make Toronto practical again. How's that?
Well, we're going to work on the slogan, Brad.
And work on that with him. Don't listen to me.
But you don't get a vote, just for the record here.
No,
I'm just pointing out you don't get a vote.
I'm going to move to Toronto if I have to.
You're going to vote anyway.
Yeah, I'll vote. I'll find a way.
Brampton's close enough.
But all I'm going to say is that he's good. He's practical. I want to help him. I'm going to help him. We're going to do some things in the new year together.
Who introduced you to Brad Bradford?
Well, you did.
See, that's a partnership here. Give me the big fist bump here. Okay.
No, I got to say, and you know what? Let me say something about Toronto Mike, too. First of all, you're a good conversationalist. That's very important in your business, obviously. Like I said, you don't always agree. We don't always agree, but we never really disagree either. We just listen to each other, and we take it with a grain of salt. And I say things, and sometimes what I say doesn't make sense. Sometimes you say something that's kind of silly at times. We all say stupid things sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's about just being able to have a conversation with someone, being interested in hearing someone else's point of view.
Right.
That's what I love to do. I'm a good listener.
Yes.
That's why if you're not listening, you're not learning.
I witnessed this, by the way, at a TMLX event at the GLB Brew Pub when you were kind of coming in all anti-bike lanes, and people like Lanrick, who I mentioned earlier in the show, people were kind of just having Leslie and other people were just telling you why they're important, and you were listening. Like, you weren't shutting it down. Like, no, like you listened, and I think at the end of that conversation, you were enlightened to a point. And I think that's the whole thing. The world's not black and white. We should listen to people, hear their thoughts, why this, that, and the other. And I'm glad that you and Brad Bradford have a friendship. I have a friendship with Brad. It'll be interesting to watch the 2026 municipal election. Olivia Chow versus Brad Bradford. And of course, there's that.
Are you going to vote for Brad?
I'm not going to say that comment on that
right now.
No, you
should. I want to hear you right now. Tell your audience, don't be shy. I'm pushing you. I want to push you on this.
No, it's highly. It's almost
likely?
It's almost impossible. It's highly unlikely I vote for Brad Bradford. But at the same time,
me?
I'm going to have Brad Bradford on the show to talk about it. Well, let's see who's running first. No one else has announced they're running yet except Brad Bradford. God. And it'll be interesting to see how Brad does if John Tory decides to run again. That'll be fascinating. All of this will be discussed with Ed Keenan in early January.
He's 10 times better than John Tory. John Tory's,
Yeah, but you know how these popularity contest works.
That's good. That's being
the right goes to some candidate, and they decide.
Yeah, because
we're
it's all about political connections, and you know what? At the end of the day, the elite group that's sitting in the back making the backroom deals, they all make sure their candidate wins.
Well, shout out to FOTM Daniel Tate.
That's the way it goes.
Okay, so
Brad Bradford needs to win for Toronto to be saved.
Hoist that bat for the tree photo. I want him to. I'm going to make sure he'll be listening, and Brad will be on Toronto Mic'd in 2026 to talk about.
I'm going to convince you to vote for him.
Okay, well, I have the only vote in this room, so you're going to need me. Okay,
I'm going to convince you.
So I do want to close just with
human side,
the human side of you, particularly your commitment to martial arts.
Oh, wow.
And the spiritual side of Nick Ainis, because there's a lot of bluster from Nick Ainis. You come across a
jerk?
Not a jerk, but a bit blunt and a bit harsh. And I feel my role in here, we're going to have a very long conversation here today, 75, 80 minutes. I hope people do listen to it, because we're going to cover so much ground, and you're going to get a little bit more a taste that this initial bluster shouldn't dismiss the fact that you're doing interesting things, and you're kind of a key cog in the whole wheel, and you do step up to sponsor Toronto Mike. So you are doing what I think is above and beyond. But tell me about the role of martial arts in your life, and if you could, a little bit about your spirituality, and maybe we'll close on this very human aspect of Nick Ainis.
Okay, well, it's a long story, but I'll try to make it short. Like, I guess when you're in your early 20s and you're going into the big bad world, you're looking for answers. Maybe I was smoking too much dope back at the time. That's possibly another reason. But you're looking for answers. You're looking for changes. I went into martial arts for, self-defense purposes, to stand up for myself, so to speak. There's times in your life where you need more spiritual answers. So I studied the martial arts. I loved it. It's good for fitness. It's good for fighting. It's good for all sorts of things. It's good. I'm doing it again after 20, 30 years of not doing it. But I took a long time reading the philosophy. So I studied mixed martial arts at the time, and it was a form of Bruce Lee's martial art. It was an integral combat system, but it had a Kali as a Filipino martial art, and that was the sort of the root of the mixed martial arts system. And it's based on Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, which is translated way of the intercepting fist. And but Bruce Lee, and a lot of people don't know, was not just a great martial artist, but he was a philosopher. And he studied philosophy, I think, in Berkeley or University in California somewhere. I don't know exactly where it was. But he would study his Chinese philosophies, and some people like Lao Tzu. Sun Tzu is Art of War, of course. Not really spiritual, but very brutal, by the way, if you want to learn about strategy.
Absolutely.
Art of War is very important. I started to start reading some of the things. He was reading Zen Buddhism and Taoism, and Jiddu Krishnamurti, which is another Indian philosopher. And I started reading these books and tried to understand, and together with history, tried to understand what this is all about. You have to ask yourself that question one day and say, okay, people have so many, if you base your life on the society that's surrounding you, it's dreadful. There's no value in it. It's materialistic. And you know what? There's a saying in Zen Buddhism, no doubt, no awakening. Little doubt, little awakening. Great doubt, great awakening. So you really have to be awake in this life, because you've got to look at it in the greater context that we're alive. It's very extraordinary to be alive in this universe. And you truly have to learn to live life properly, because you can't You can't live your life based on the rules of this society. You're doomed if you do that. It's empty and there's nothing there. So you take a little bit from your culture and you learn from other cultures. And I took that time to sort of understand what's reality, what is real, what is this life around me? How did I get here? You learn a lot about, how what shaped, you have to look at history as well and what shaped this sort of society that we're living in right now, based on, the events in World War II and the international order. These are things that are just sort of new in the 20th century. So, you take all that into consideration and you learn a little bit about that. But at some point, you also have to forget about that because you have to live. And part of the philosophy, the Chinese philosophies is stop thinking and do. You have to do things. So my life is about, a lot of action. And there's a lot of reflection. You have to have compassion for people and, you got to be a good person. You don't want to hurt people. That's one of my greatest philosophies in business. You can be so cutthroat if you really want to, but you're going to hurt yourself if you're like that. So I try to do the best I can. I try to have ideas that don't hurt other people. And that's kind of the basis of who I am. It's probably where I came from when you asked me where I came from my family background. All comes from a good background, but being lucky to be sort of surrounded by these great ideas as I developed over my lifetime. So very deep, and I think you're about to cry right now.
Too late, brother. Pass me the Kleenex. Glad we could humanize the beast. And I'm glad that you're a part of the TMU, the Toronto Mike universe. We welcome all.
That was great.
Just like you welcome all sorts of people to Fusion Corp, I welcome all.
And I'm doing it for a reason, because you're a great guy. And, we were able to come together and we're creating something together. You see? It's all about creating things together. We got to make some money though, eh?
Well, absolutely. We got to make some money. You're right. You wanted me to, in the last time you were on Toronto Mike, you encouraged me to charge an admission fee to attend TMLX, and I kept it free. So I'm leaving a whole bunch of money on the table. We got to stop doing that.
Yeah, we'll make some money doing some other things. We already have some ideas. You didn't mention them.
Did you want to say anything real quick here? We did 90 minutes. You'll be back on again.
Well,
sponsors get an episode every quarter.
You and I are we've got some ventures hanging in the background who can make it happen, right?
Well, absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. But just like you, I like to keep some cards close to my chest.
Don't say it.
Will you check out the status of my skunk before we take that photo? Can I show you the skunk?
I'm ready to stomp on it.
I won't let him. Come on. I just humanized you, and now you're stomping on this
that skunk.
Poor sick skunk. Okay, we're going to check in on my skunk, see how my skunk is doing.
Give me the bat.
You're gonna have the bat. We're gonna take the photo. You're gonna get a lasagna, and I didn't point this out yet.
2 lasagnas.
But you wanted IPAs, so I've loaded up your Great Lakes beer with IPAs.
That's right.
I love that Burst. It's one of my favorite IPAs from Great Lakes, and they make delicious fresh craft beer. I think we met at Great Lakes Brewery, if I remember correctly.
We did. Well, we met at Humble and Fred, right?
Well, yeah, but that was virtual.
I waited for you, and you were no.
Oh,
we went to their beer party, remember?
But okay, yeah, that's right. Yes, another brewery on the lakeshore.
You were late and you biked over.
I did bike over. I had to get my kid to soccer. I think I came straight from the soccer match. You know what? My life is all balancing how to make these 4 kids okay and take care of them, and at the same time
make a lot of money and hire a nanny.
A manny named Nick. And that brings us to the end of our 1,817th show. 1817. Go to TorontoMike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Much love to all who made this possible, especially Nick Ainis from Fusion Corp. Much love to Nick. Retro Festive.
Let's see.
You can listen back on your drive
Merry Christmas to your audience.
Merry Christmas from Nick Ainis.
Are we allowed to say that, or Happy Holidays?
Yeah. You can say that. I was just in a parade with Santa, for goodness sakes. So shout out to Retro Festive. That's where you go for Christmas stuff. and pop culture stuff. Great Lakes Brewery, delicious craft beer. Palma Pasta, you got your lasagna coming to you, buddy. RecycleMyElectronics.ca, and of course, Ridley Funeral Home. They're pillars of New Toronto, and it turns out that the Ainis family has a great history in New Toronto. I just learned about. See you all Monday, when my special guest is Michelle McAdory, making her triumphant return. Michelle McAdory was in the video for Blue Rodeo's Try.
Oh, wow.
And I love that video and had a crush on her since then. It's going to be good, brother. She's coming back.
Get the Kleenex out.
See you all then.
Let's go.